Hey there, good afternoon, and welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph, and I'm the host of this show. This is a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So I'm going to try something a little different today. This was an idea that Ben gave me not too long ago. I've kind of twiddled with it a bit and kind of made it my own. So I don't know how many of you remember back in the early 70s, probably mid-70s too, right up to about the mid-70s. There used to be a company called K-Tel. Well, actually they still exist, but they used to put out these records, and they would be called Greatest Hits from the 50s, or Greatest Hits from the 60s, or maybe Greatest Hits from the 70s, or there may be those great disco songs, or or the great love ballads. And there was all kinds of these albums out there, but my friend's mother worked at K-Tel, or actually she worked at Metal, but they used to get those K-Tel albums all the time, and she got this one and brought it home. It was a purple, I remember it had a purple label on it, and it was called Great Rock Hits of the 1970s. And I remember we listened to it, and the only two things I remember off of it are that there was two bands on there that I listened to, the two songs I listened to. And later, when I started getting into rock music, I remembered those two songs and got into those two bands. So if not for that particular album, Black Sabbath and April Wine might have taken longer to get into my life. So the song on the one album, the two songs on the album were Paranoid and Oh What a Night, got me into that. And so these compilations that came out in the 1970s had some impact. There was another one that was called those great disco songs of the 1980s, and there was one on there called You Sexy Thing by Hot Chocolate. So I'm not advocating going out and buying all the K-Tel albums, but I just remember those compilations were great, and I did enjoy listening to bands I'd never heard before. So we're going to do a little bit of a compilation album today. So Ben gave me this idea. He said that why don't you do like a compilation album where you put the greatest, or some songs you really like by certain style of a musician, like could be great guitar players, or great heavy metal bands, or great hard rock bands, or whatever you want to do, right? So and then the one that he actually gave me as the idea was those great female vocalists, and that's the one I'm going to do today. So I put together a compilation album here. I've chosen a song. Well, first of all, I chose 16 artists, in this case 16, because I couldn't kick anybody out. I actually had about 20, but there was about 3 or 4 of them that I kind of said, no, I don't feel like I want to put that many on this album, so I cut it down to 16, and then I put them in an order that if I was listening to the album, this was kind of be the order, the way I like it. So I started out by having a heavy song to start, kind of a heavy pop, and then we moved through some of course progressive stuff, and moved down through well, actually I put 4 women in a row that all had the same first name, just because I felt like doing that. And then there was a bunch of stuff from the 60s that was kind of psychedelic and poppy and bluesy. And then I moved on to some folky stuff, and then I ended up going back to the pop, the kind of a disco-y pop, and then just slowly moved back to pop music. So anyways, I've got, let's see what I have here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 women on this list. Actually 16, because one is a duet. I decided to pick these two a duet for this particular thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tell you the song, well, the artist, then the song that I got them singing on the album, and then how long the song is. So roughly I think this works out to between 58 and 60 minutes worth of music on one CD, if we were going to make it, So anyways, this is nothing but pure fun. There's nothing to be taken from it other than that. They're not in any particular order, just the order in which I decided to put them on the album that we're making in Fantasy World here. So the without further ado, here we go. So the first artist, and I do have some props, but not for all of them, but for some of them, so I'll show the props when I have them. So the first artist I chose, because I wanted to start the album out kick-ass, I decided to start out with Pat Benatar. Yeah, Pat Benatar, great voice. Yeah, so many catchy pop, power pop, ballads. Just a real kick-ass singer, I think. And I chose the song Heartbreaker here. I think it's one of the hardest hardest power pop songs out there, I think. And she just does it so well. She's so good. Just absolutely love her. So I'm going to start out with Pat Benatar. This is a song is about 3 minutes 26 seconds. Not a bad start for an album. Really hard stuff. So the next one up comes from a recently discovered female artist who's in a progressive rock band, or a progressive metal band. So we're doing a little bit of the progressive stuff now. Progressive metal band called the Cellar Darlings. The song I chose from the album is from one of their albums, was Star Crusher. Of course, we're talking about Anna Murphy here. Song's about 3:20 long. It's not a really long song, but pretty heavy. She's got one of those great voices. I don't know if it's quite a metal voice, but I really like the sound of her voice. Despite the fact she's singing metal, it wouldn't really matter what she was singing. I think I would like it anyways. So that's the number 2 song on the album. Then we move right full into progressive rock with Running Hard from Renaissance, and this of course features Annie Haslund, who's a great vocalist. She has such a smooth sounding voice. I think she's the best aspect of this band. This song's 9:35 long, 9 minutes 35 seconds long. The one really long song on the album, and because it's progressive, it seems to fit that bill really well. But it just gives us a chance to think about Annie Haslund. So the next Annie on the list is Annie Lennox from the Eurythmics, and Would I Lie to You? Yeah, gotta like Annie Lennox. So much energy, so bold, so out there in a lot of ways. I think she just has one of those great early 1980 kind of new wave-ish, popish wave type of voices, but so catchy. I really liked her vocals on this particular track. Like when I was making up this list, she was one of the first people I thought of because of that particular song that I put in. I said, oh yeah, this would be great. I'll get to talk about this song, which I really like. The song's about 4 minutes and 24 seconds long. So the album's moving along pretty good here. We've now got about 20 minutes on it so far. The next one comes up is the last of my Annies, or Ann in this case, Ann Wilson. Was there ever going to be a doubt that Ann Wilson was going to be on here? I was going to do one for Nancy Wilson too, but I never really think of Nancy Wilson as a vocalist, even though I know she can sing. She's got a good voice. It's just that I always think of her as the guitar player of the group. Anyways, the song I chose for Ann to do on this is Dream of the Archer. I know you're thinking, that's kind of a weird track to choose, but it's such a catchy, deep cut, and her voice is so damn fine on this, as it is on so much stuff that she does. But for some reason, I really like the sound of the long, drawn-out vocal parts. Yeah, so we picked the Dream of the Archer off of this album, and that is about 4 minutes and 30 seconds long. Really good stuff. So that's the last of the Anns, or Annies, or Annas. So now we're going to go to that White Rabbit. Yeah, you knew this was going to happen. There's no way you can do a list of great female vocalists without having Grace Slick in here. She's so good. Jefferson Airplane, White Rabbit. It's only 2 minutes and 39 seconds, but fantastic song. I think it's one of the great pop psychedelic songs of the 1960s, and it had to be on this compilation. It wouldn't be the compilation I'd want without it. So the next one up, another contemporary of Grace Slick from that same period, but this one's a much more gravelly, kind of raspy voice. who can belt them out with the best of them. And I wanted to put this song on here because I really, really like it. It's a piece of my heart. Janis Joplin, she really just belts this crazy tune right out there. 4 minutes and 16 seconds worth. Yeah, gotta have Janis Joplin on any list of top female vocalists, I think. Okay, so the next one is Canadian singer. I'm gonna move a little bit more into the folky realm as the album goes along here. So, of course, we're going to talk about Joni Mitchell. This is a female whose voice, I just really like it. It's so smooth. And there's another one coming up that's the same, but she's the Canadian version of this. The Circle Game is the song I chose. It's about 4 minutes 56 seconds long. Really, really good stuff. I mean, she has so much good stuff and so folky in nature. Now, I know it's a rock album, but I wanted to put some folky elements in there too, and so I chose Joni Mitchell's The Circle Game. Okay, so the next one up, it comes from one of the great vocalists of all time, female vocalist, just belts it out there. She has such a powerful voice, died long before her time was up, and we're talking about Cass Elliot from the Mamas and the Papas. The song I chose was Words of Love. Not a song that you may think of with the Mamas and Papas too much, but she did this song on the Ed Sullivan Show once, and she stood out front, and I just thought, wow, what a powerful voice she has. I mean, I could have done a song with a duet with her and Michelle here, but I just decided that I was only going to give her the credit this time. Maybe next time I'll give Michelle some. She's a great soprano. Michelle's a great soprano as well. But Cass Elliot just has one of those unique voices, and she had to be on this list. This song is about 3 minutes 42 seconds long. So at this point, we're in around maybe 34 minutes, I think. Yeah, about 34 minutes at this point. So the next track up comes from another smooth singer in the very similar in style to Joni Mitchell, but I think this woman has one of those voices that just is just like silk, you know. I just think it's so good. We're talking about Karen Carpenter of the Carpenters. The song I chose is I Won't Last a Day. I won't last a day without you. Yeah, so good. Without you, yeah, of course. 3:53 long. Had to be on here. She along with Cass and Joni Mitchell, kind of adding the kind of folky element to the album that I wanted, and nobody does it better than Karen Carpenter. So now we're going to jump into a more upbeat tempo. This is kind of a upbeat, kind of poppy rock song. Maybe eventually it would have been used in the disco scene, but at this point in time it wasn't. So we're talking about Mariska Veers of Shocking Blue and the song Venus. That's just always been one of my favorite kind of poppy tracks from the 1960s. And we've done some 60s stuff here and 70s stuff close to the edge of that border here. And I chose Mariska here because she just does it so well, and she deserves to be on here. This song's about 3:02. So now we're kind of passing up into the 40 minute range. So we got like 4 tracks left here for the album. I chose, there's 5 women singing here. The next one is the duet. And then they get a little progressive. They don't necessarily get more progressively hard, but the last 3 songs are really kind of power pop songs almost. So this next song is a song from this band, Fleetwood Mac, and of course you know I'm talking about Christine McVie and Stevie Nicks. Now I was going to just do one with each of them, but you know I've recently seen the tributes by Stevie Nicks to Christine McVie, and I thought, you know what, they were such good friends that I think if I could find something that they did as a duet, I was going to put it on here, and I found something. They never did duets their whole career until towards the end of a couple of tours. They did a couple of duets. One's called All Over Again, Do It All Over Again from Fleetwood Mac. Christine McVie, Stevie Nicks. Super singers, both of them. Like them both a lot. Like their vocals both a lot. You know, just a fantastic pairing. So I just wanted to do them as a duet this time in honor of Christine McVie's passing last year, or earlier this year, I guess. So now we get into these three power pops left. These are three very different artists. You know, just totally different in every regard, but I like them all quite a bit. The first one is probably my favorite. I really love this album. It's an album I took with me when I went out west the first time. I played it a lot. I wore out the cassette, and then I bought it on CD. We're talking about The Pretenders, Chrissie Hynde. Song we chose for this, Middle of the Road. Had to have it. It's 4:09 on length. Such a hard rocker. Well, such a power popper, right? It's really great guitar, catchy beat, and her voice is just fantastic here. She's fantastic on everything, but I like her a lot on that particular track. Okay, so the next one up, this one some people might think doesn't deserve to be on here, but it's this first album by this artist is a power pop album. There's some heavy stuff on here for power pop, and the song I chose is called "Fly on the Wall." Miley Cyrus. It's too great. Even the video is kind of funny, but she's got one of those voices that is just so distinguishable. I like her voice a lot. My daughter's a huge fan of this artist. Loves all of her stuff, all the stuff right up into the funk rapping stuff that she's doing now, but this was early on, like her first album, really kind of a heavier album for her, I think. Maybe more closer to Hannah Montana, but heavier version of that. Anyways, the song is Fly on the Wall. The song is 3 minutes 23 seconds long. So catchy, so good. I still like this album a lot. Still like this artist a lot. So there we go, Miley Cyrus. Next up, the final singer on this album. 15, it's 15 or 14? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, there is 15. I thought there was only 14, but that's fine. This artist had to be on here for a number of reasons. First of all, she's stunningly beautiful, I think. And that aside, because that's not the reason we're doing this, but that aside, she has such a strong voice. And you don't realize it until you listen to some of the later stuff that they did about how she can really do that kind of raspy, bluesy sound with her voice too. She's got a lot of range on her vocals, much more than people give her credit for. But I chose a real rocker here, and one of the songs I think that she really belts out. We're talking about Deborah Harry of Blondie. The song we're going to pick for today, One Way or Another. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. That's a great way to end the album. I wanted to end the album. This song's about 4:35 because I did the live version here. I wanted to end the album the way it started, with that fast-paced kind of heavy pop, which Pat Benatar started out with, and now Deborah Harry is ending it up with. So there you go. 15 female vocalists, rock vocalists, who are going to be on my compilation, and I think they're all great. I wanted to give some attention to all these great singing women. I'll just reiterate them. Pat Benatar, Heartbreaker, and Anna Murphy, Star Crusher, Annie Haslin, Running Hard, Annie Lennox, Would I Lie to You, Ann Wilson, Dream of the Archer, Grace Slick, White Rabbit, Janis Joplin, A Piece of My Mind, Piece of My Heart, sorry, might take a piece of my mind, but Joni Mitchell, The Circle Game, Cass Elliot, Words of Love, Karen Carpenter, I Wouldn't Last a Day Without You, Mariska Ver's Venus, Christine McVie and Stevie Nicks doing a duet here called All Over Again. You can actually find this, if you want to, on, just punch in duets by Christine McVie and Stevie Nicks, and this will come up. It's a live version of the two of them singing together. I think it's great. Chrissy Hines, A Middle of the Road. Miley Cyrus with A Fly on the Wall, and then finishing it off, Deborah Harry and One Way or Another. So I hope you enjoy this format that we're doing here today. I may do something else in the future, but I just felt like doing something different, and Ben gave me this idea, and I just tweaked with it and played with it a little bit to try and enjoy it. So I don't think this will be a K-Tel special, but it might be a Prog Monster special, so there you go. So anyways, if you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. If there's females that you think that should have been on this kind of an album, you put them down below. There's lots out there. There's a half a dozen or so that I didn't put on the album that could have easily been on here too, but I went with what I wanted to put. And if you're gonna make an album for yourself, you best make it the one you like, right? So if you like it, please make your comments below, subscribe, and we'll be back again with another one of these probably in a week or two. So have yourself a good night and take care. Goodbye.